Alright, welcome to this video, guys. In this training specifically, I'm going to be going over like the fundamentals that you guys have to understand when it comes to marketing so that you can understand how we use these strategies specifically in the tactical side, because I will be going into the tactical side into exactly how to execute on each and every single one of these strategies that I'm going to be discussing with you guys, but I want you guys to understand the high-level overview so you guys can understand the process of how marketing works on social media so that you can turn strangers into sales, right? So there's a specific process. And so with each strategy, I want you guys to understand the foundation so you guys don't get lost in the sauce as to, does this strategy work? Oh, why isn't this strategy working for me? Like, you have to understand the core principles of that first before you step your foot into actually executing, because if you don't know why something works, it doesn't matter if you know how it works, because you're going to be questioning that whole process as a whole. So anyways, let's kind of just jump straight into this. I'm going to zoom in on this so we can kind of take this one step at a time. Okay, so fundamentally I want to establish like the idea and the concept for you, like what is a lead, right? Because with marketing, this is what we're trying to create, our leads for ourselves to be able to have opportunities to go ahead and sell to, right? So a lead is simply just somebody who is interested in your product or service, right? We live in an attention economy, and the person who's the best at getting the most attention most effectively will never go broke, right? You can literally print money out of thin air if you have a product or a service that people want. Then being able to get the people, the right people actually, to want to buy the thing that you sell, right? So the goal here is to show you how to create a predictable process that has inputs that you can do on a daily basis to create more interest for your product. This way you can fill up all your time with active prospecting and sales, which is the only thing that moves the needle forward for you in your career and for your business. Okay, so that is what we're trying to do here, is learn how to capture attention, because if you can capture attention, then you'll never go broke, right? So jumping into the first concept here is the core four. Okay, so this core four was and this is from $100 Million Leads by Alex Hormozi. Love that guy, love that book. If you guys haven't watched his training or his program on it, and with the actual book itself, it goes over the concept of the core four. So that book, it's really good. So I'm going to be covering over the high level overview so that you guys can understand the tactical, because we have the tactical in here that I'll be covering with you guys in other videos. But just to understand, these are the only 4 ways that you can get leads on social media, or just in any terms of advertising, period. But everything you're going to be learning from me is from social media. So this is the core 4. So I have this demonstration right over here so you can look at the concept, right? So you guys can visually see what this looks like. So we have cold outreach, warm outreach, paid ads, content creation. Okay, so we have one-to-one or one-to-many. Okay, so this is the medium that the messaging is happening, right? So like you can either create one ad or one video that you can therefore show to a bunch of people, right? That's super high leverage. Like that's probably one of the best ways that you can get yourself out there, get more attention. But it's not as lasered in, right? So like there's a difference. So imagine like if you're on a traditional like standpoint, imagine like one-to-many is like making a commercial on a TV versus making a cold call or door knocking, right? So one-to-one is like more like door knocking, cold calling, and one-to-many is like advertising on a billboard or a TV show. But nowadays everyone is on social media, so you have to understand that concept. The medium's a little bit different, right? So with one-to-one outreach, it's either through the DMs, right? Well, it's mainly through the DMs. That's the main way to reach somebody on social media, is like that's the inbox. Like that's the new equivalent to what I call the phone nowadays, right? Because like you can just hit anybody up, and more likely than not, text messages and DMs have a way better response rate than cold calling, right? And door knocking. So highly recommend learning how to prospect one-to-one in the DMs, which I'll show you guys how to do. And then the one-to-many, right? So we have content creation and we have paid ads, right? So those 2 are my favorite, paid ads and content creation, just because like the scalability of it is insane. I personally use this to scale my business excessively, and like understanding that paid ads is something that's paid, right? But mainly in this section, I'm going to be covering like the free ways that you can tack on to get your way up to paid ads. But once you're at paid ads, then you're ready to scale to the moon, right? So then there's the two differences, and this is why we have a matrix here, is we have a warm audience and a cold audience. So a warm audience are just people that know you, and a cold audience are people that don't know you. So the only difference between a warm audience and cold audience is trust, right? Because the people who have seen you before, right? Let's say like people that are on your friends list on Facebook, like your 500 friends, that means, you can actually, those people are people that are warm to you. They know, like, and trust you already just because you've already built relationships with them over time. But yeah, this is the two different types of audiences. So in these videos, I'm going to show you how you can grow your warm audience, because it's easier to convert somebody who already has seen your face multiple times before, rather than, doing cold outreach to somebody that you don't know and, doesn't trust you. But they both work, right? So this is why these core four is here, right? You can either do cold outreach, warm outreach to the people that know, like, and trust you, whether they're your followers or friends and family. Paid ads, which is just one to many, but that's just to a cold audience, right? These people have never seen you before. The first time you're seeing them is on a paid ad. Or content creation, right? To people that are already on your audience, but also content creation can hit cold audiences too. So there's really only two main ways that you can get strangers' attentions for free on social media. And like I mentioned to you, it's one-to-one or one-to-many, right? So there's another concept that I want to explain to you guys, right? The concept of inbound versus outbound, right? A lot of people kind of get like fuzzed up about this whole idea, right? So inbound is just basically people who reach out to you, right? Through your content, through your paid ads, and inbound leads are the best leads because, you're attracting leads rather than having to go and hunt for the leads, right? Outbound is like going and hunting for your leads, right? Doing cold calls, doing cold DMs, putting out content, like following up with your engagement, all this other stuff. That's outbound, right? So inbound is people who reach out to you. Outbound is people who that you reach out to, okay? So now that you guys understand this is the four core ways of getting leads, it's like, okay, how do I integrate this? How does this play a part into getting somebody from a stranger to wanting to buy my product, right? So first thing I'll go over here is getting somebody's attention and turning that person's attention into a stranger, okay? So like I like the idea of a funnel and a system, because like that way you can predictably be able to produce and turn attention into a sale, and this is the process that somebody has to go through in order to become a sale, right? So there's 4 steps in this process, which is getting somebody's attention, okay? Then they become a follower, right? They've engaged with your content, they've seen you before, they get warmed up by your content, right? This is somebody who then follows you and they're getting to know, like, and trust you. An engager is somebody that like engages with your content, they comment, they like your post, whatever it is, or they engage with you to some extent. And then from there you start a conversation, right? And then that conversation then leads for you to create a sale, right? So this is how you build a relationship over time. So let me kind of go through this a little bit more in depth, right? So basically, attention, turning them into a follower, this is the point where you turn a stranger into a follower, right? So a follower now is in your, what I call your online sphere of influence. So as a sales professional, right, you have your sphere of influence, right? Like your referral base, your customer base, people that already know you. The way that you grow that is through your social media following. So like I like to look at my social media following as basically like my customer database. Like it's pretty cool. Like, because all those people in there are potential prospects. Those are people that we can reach out to and have a chat with to then go ahead and make a sale to. So like all your friends on Facebook, all your followers on Instagram, like those are potential prospects that you can reach out to make a sale, okay? So once someone follows you, the next thing we need to do is go ahead and warm them up so they get to know, like, and trust us, right? So this goes through a warming process. So I'm going to go more in depth in the content creation process so that you can create a relationship and build your brand on social media with content so that you can warm them up to get people to know, like, and trust you through your content, even if they've never met you before, right? Like I have a lot of people that follow me on social media, but like I'm telling you, I've never talked to any of these people before. It's funny because one time I went to an Andy Elliott seminar, and they're like, "Oh, hey, dude, TJ, like I've seen your content before," and I'm like, "Oh, hey, absolutely, that's fantastic." So I've never met you, but this is cool, right? It was an interesting experience for me. I've never had that happen before, but you'll start having that happen in your local area when you start putting yourself out there, start building relationships, because your content's designed to do that, right? Because people buy from people. They buy from people they know, like, and trust. So you have to become somebody that people want to do business with. They know your story, and we'll get deeper into that, but that's the warming part, right? And then we turn an engager, right? So from here, we've now deposited value into the relationship with our content, right? This person from here likes our stuff, and then from there, we actually have an opportunity to go ahead and reach out to them and ask if they need our help with whatever it is that you sell. So that allows you to start more of a conversation, right? And so the conversation leads to the sale. This is the fun part, where they show up and buy your product or service. So you have to understand, in this process, more conversations lead to more conversions, right? So there's a process of turning somebody, in my process, I like being able to turn strangers into warm audiences that become followers and engage with our content, and then be able to make the sale, because that way you can sell in a higher quantity and be able to scale this puppy up, and you can do it profitably, because building relationships with your content, this is more of like a long-term game. But like, if you build your brand properly, you build your content properly, like, you're going to be able to consistently create a machine that has predictable outcomes, right? This is the powerful part, because when you understand your marketing numbers, right, and this is a big fundamental basis that we go through, is when you understand, okay, if I reach out to this many people, if I reach out to 100 people, I should get at least one appointment a day, right? Boom, like, there you go. Like, that's how you scale. So then from there, you can start deducing your numbers on how you can break that down. Or if I spend $100 in ads every single day, at the end of the month, I should get this many booked appointments, this many sales, and make this much money. And then from there, you can then deduce and start scaling up this entire process. But this is how we do this funnel, and this process is the basis of how it works to generate opportunities. So you can understand, like, this is how you turn a person from a stranger to somebody who's like lukewarm to like red hot to a buying customer, right? So like, that's that process that they go through. Okay. All right. So now that we know how we get somebody from point A to point B, from a complete stranger to turning their attention, like, how do we go about that whole process, right? So first of all, let me just focus on the attention aspect, right? So how do we go about garnering somebody's attention in the first place, and turning a stranger into sale? Okay, so again, I'm giving you a high-level overview of the other stuff that we're going to be going more in depth. I'll show you guys the tactical side of it, but if you guys understand the high-level overview of it, you'll understand why this process works. Okay, so we have to start off by getting people's attention, right? So we know that attention is important. Now you need to know how to actually go ahead and garner it, since it's the first step of turning somebody into a stranger into a sale. Okay, so there's two real main methods that we're going to be covering that are free. Okay, with paid ads, we're not going to be covering that in depth, but with organic audience growth and manual audience growth. Okay, so basically, there's two types of ways of getting attention, right? So we can create what we call viral videos, which we'll go in depth on how to do that, right? So we can create viral videos that allow us to get people's attention. We can get new people's attention that allow people to go ahead and follow us. Or we can do it manually, right? So we can go into, we can start following people to our friends list and start following them on Instagram and Facebook to start growing them manually, right? So let's say if you send out 100 friend requests in a day, let's say 10 to 20% of those follow you back. From there, right, you're growing your audience by 10 to 20 targeted, followers every single day, while you're creating viral content, which allows you to grow your audience, right? So while you grow your followers list, right, and you put out content that makes sales, then you're warming up more people at once. Then you guys can kind of start to see how this process is gonna start compounding, right? So the idea here is building your list, right? This is one of the best ways for you to actually have what we call a social CRM, right? Because like I was telling you guys, the concept is, the more people in your following, the more people that will buy from you, right? So this becomes a list of people who are potential prospects at any point in time. This is powerful because over time, with learning how to make content that sells, you have a list of people that start off as strangers, but over time, they get to know, like, and trust you. This is a long burn, but is essential to see results, right? So like that's why we're gonna continuously build our list through creating viral content and through manually adding people and growing our list, because as we start creating content, those people over time will start to get to know, like, and trust us because they're a follower, and we start warming them up, right? So just to let you guys know, like, some common mistakes that I see is people don't actually grow their audience. So what happens is you end up spamming the same 500 friends with your sales content. That's why it doesn't work, because you need to maximize your exposure, and you do that by adding friends and getting people to go ahead and follow you, right? So here is the biggest thing is the core basis of this is getting more people's attention through content, through content, and through manually adding people, and eventually through running paid ads, because it's the same shit but on steroids basically when you run paid ads. But yeah, so that's where you guys are starting off with. It's like, okay, cool. So my whole goal here is to get more attention of more people, because more attention and more people that follow me will turn into more followers, right? So that's really powerful, right? So I'll go over this more in depth, like I said, in an actual video on where you guys can find this, but you guys can understand that by adding friends to your friends list, you guys can go to local Facebook groups, go to the member section, and kind of check that out. We'll go over this in a little bit more depth in this exact strategy. So moving forward, right? How do you warm up your audience with your content once they follow you, right? So like I mentioned to you guys, the difference between cold and warm are people that know you versus people who don't know you, right? So the whole goal with this phase is to get people who don't know you to build a relationship with them via content, right? Because the content is designed to get people to know, like, and trust you and want to buy from you, right? So understand that only 3% of the market is ready to buy at any point in time. The other 90% of the market isn't. So the whole point of warming up your audience is when they're ready to buy, they want to buy from you, right? So this is where the real work happens. You have to understand that building a brand from scratch takes a lot of time and energy, right? And I want to set your guys' expectations correct. Because, like, I've been building my brand for the past 2 years with manually. Like, the whole first year of me building my brand was all manually. Like, straight up just adding people, following them, like cold DMing them. All this shit that I'm going to be showing you guys is like that first step that you guys have to get those first few sales, to stack up some bread so you can then pour some money into paid ads, because then from there, if you do that profitably, then you can be in a position to go ahead and scale. But this is going to be your bread and butter in the beginning to understand the fundamentals of generating opportunities, right? So it takes a lot of time, effort, and energy, but bear with it. If you go through this and you understand how marketing works at its core, you will be very successful with it, okay? So the reality is it does take time, effort, and energy. That's why most people aren't successful with social media in the first place, because they want quick wins. But you can have quick wins if you have money. But again, I'm making this for if you're in the position where you need to stack up bread first before you can start reinvesting into ads, okay? So a rule of thumb here is it takes roughly 7 hours of content for somebody to consume to actually convert somebody into a sale. So, like, think about that. It takes a while for people to actually, like, want to buy something that's even high ticket, right? So, they have to see your face a lot of times, right? Like, multiple times, like, before they even feel comfortable, right? So that's how establishing your brand and, like, your content and being consistent with it. That's why consistency is key. But then you also have to understand that, like, a more complex problem is that people will post for a long time, and I had this problem too, but this is why I'm sharing it with you, is you'll post for a long time, but your shit won't blow up, right? You need to get new exposure. So I'll show you, that's what I'll be showing you guys in length. But again, you want to get the right people viewing your stuff so that they can consume it long enough to feel comfortable moving forward with you, okay? It actually takes time for people to go ahead and build trust with you. You can't just expect somebody to trust you right off the bat, right? That's like going up to a girl at the bar and being like, hey, do you want to marry me, right? It doesn't work like that. So the only thing that builds trust is consistency and frequency. The more often they see you, the longer they've seen you, the more chances they have to actually go ahead and trust you. So over time, you build authority in the market. People know, like, and trust you. You will start to get people to reach out to you wanting to buy. So in the beginning, you're going to have to be doing the outreach. In the beginning, You're going to have to put in sweat equity, but as time goes, as you have more money to reinvest into your business, as you have more time to like go ahead and run paid ads and do all these other things, then from there you can actually start growing your brand a lot faster. But it starts off small and the work starts compounding, but once you start getting that work to compound for you, it'll start stacking really, 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 really fast. Because you'll notice like the guys that blow up like on social media, like I'll have an example. Like Alex Hormozy literally made content for a long time. He made over like I think 400 podcasts before he even blew up. Like and that's how long it took for him to get good at it, good at the skill of creating content, and then over time build up the audience where they started sharing, because like then you have goodwill within the marketplace, and people share your stuff, you go viral, other stuff like that, and you can build your audience that way. So again, understand this is a long-term play. So going into this, right, I'll go over how you guys can build these types of content, but the 5 types of content I'm going to be showing you guys are designed to get you more exposure, right, more attention, designed to warm up your audience, and then number 3, get people to want to buy your shit, right? So that's going to be really powerful for you. And then last but not least is starting more conversations, right? So I'll show you guys how to start up conversations in the beginning. We're going over these core 4. So content creation, cold outreach, and warm outreach. These are what we're going to be focusing on until you have enough money to go ahead and do paid ads, because paid ads is just basically reaching a lot of people, building your brand a lot more faster without you're trading your money for exposure rather than your time. But in the beginning, you have to start off with your time, right? Or if you're already running paid ads, obviously you need to keep doing this stuff too to start doubling down. So another thing is like starting more conversations in general, right? You can just go straight for the throat. Again, 3% of the market is always looking to buy, but again, 97%, and then you want to focus on getting 3% too, so you can get kills more faster, right? So the more conversations you have, the more conversions you're gonna get. This is point blank the key concept that was gonna make you successful with organic marketing, right? It's a very fixed process for the amount of messages you send. There's going to be a percent that reply. From that, there's going to be a percentage that book with you, and there's going to be a percentage that buy. Very straightforward. Don't overcomplicate this. It's not whether cold outreach works, it's how much volume you're doing, right? So once you figure out what your numbers are, start conversations on social media. It will become very predictable, right? And it's a good way to start more conversations, especially if you're like just don't have anything else to do. Like your time should be filled up with doing all this shit, content creation, doing cold outreach, everything. So the biggest difference is that people just don't know you, right? Because this is cold outreach, right? You'll have a lower response rate. The key thing here is just doing a lot of volume. So we'll be going more in depth onto like the tactical side of like how to do this specifically, but just know that you're starting up cold conversations, and then this is how you turn strangers into sales, right? So this is like what's going to get you started first of all, so you can understand. These are the core 4, right? So you need to start off with cold outreach, warm outreach, content creation, and paid ads. But this is the process that you're building for yourself so that you can start having a machine that will produce you more sales, okay? So if you have any questions about the concepts that you're learning, leave a comment or let me know. And then from there, I'll go through the more tactical side of the trainings for each one of the strategies we just went through. So I'll catch you guys in the next training. Peace out.